Hello, my name's Jasper, you're watching Buckle Up. This is a Hyundai i20 and I think this is the best super mini that you can buy right now. Let me explain. Now I have just 4 reasons why I think this is the best super mini that's available for purchase today. The first of which is styling. In comparison with the previous generation of i20, this is a massive improvement. Absolutely every angle is different and really striking. The front end is incredibly wide and purposeful with a really low front lip and a bonnet that just drops away towards the ground. A really sporty, good looking front end. These headlamps are incredibly striking with a really good daytime running light strike above them. You've got a really nice gloss black plastic grille in a funky pattern, and there are so many different lines, creases and angles on the car. It's such a refreshing take and it makes it so visually interesting. In a world of relatively bland super minis, the i20 absolutely stands out from the front, and you'll find that that actually continues along the side of the car, where on this model you are met with these gorgeous 17-inch diamond cut alloy wheels and a continuation of creasing. There are so many different angles along the side of this car, it really does make it very interesting to look at, and a very unique design in a relatively bland segment. There are gloss black plastic mirror caps which match the front grille and splitter, as well as the contrast roof. On the front quarter panel you'll notice a 48 volt badge with the text in blue, which gives you a little bit of a clue as to the powertrain that's under the bonnet of this, but we'll get onto that in a bit. The overwhelming point I'm trying to make here is that this car looks really good from the front, from the side, and yes, also at the back, where some of the creases actually begin to turn into flowing lines coming around to the boot of the car. Now, you've got a mixture of gorgeous dragon red paintwork on this model and this gloss black plastic which blends beautifully into the rear tinted window. You've got a high level third brake light integrated into the very subtle boot spoiler, and you've also got a gloss black plastic rear diffuser. Now this car is not particularly sporty per se, but some of the styling cues that it has do give it that impression. There are a couple of things at the back of this that are really striking, one of which is the way the pillar curves round and has these little relief cuts in it, and you've also got really distinctive light clusters that when they're illuminated look fantastic, kind of S-shape or maybe the 2 in i20, who knows. You are of course reminded that this car is an i20 at the back, both here and in the lamp cluster, but it's not like the i10 that Rob recently had, which also had a little badge up here. They've not gone quite to that level here. On the whole, even though styling is quite subjective, I'd like to think you can agree with me that this car looks very good. And while I'm here, this actually brings me on to the second point of why I think this is the best super mini you can buy. Practicality. The i20 is incredibly well packaged. And even though this is a mild hybrid powertrain, which therefore eats into the boot space a little bit, you still have 262 litres of space back here, and it's an incredibly wide and flat opening for you to put stuff in. If you go for just a petrol model, you actually get 352 litres of boot space, which is class leading. There are a couple of really nice touches in the boot. You've got tie downs all round, a strap on one side and a little curry hook for your bag over in the corner, but the parcel shelf actually, you know when you've got something large to put in the boot and you need to take the parcel shelf out, you don't actually have to on the i20 because it will drop down and sit nicely at the back of the boot. So if you've got something tall that needs to reach up to the roofline, you don't actually need to remove that and then forget where you've put it. Under the false floor in the boot, you have your mild hybrid battery, where other models may come with a spare tyre, but you can also drop this false floor down to eke just a little bit more storage space out if you desire. It's not just in the boot that the i20 is practical, that also continues in the cabin. I say that because while the car is a super mini, it's incredibly well packaged for one. It fills out the space available within the wheelbase almost to its maximum extent. It's not a very curvy shape, it is quite boxy at the back. And what that translates to is a lot of room for passengers in the rear of the car. So I'm behind my own driving position, so I do have a little bit more than normal knee room here, but even if I was behind a taller driver, I would still have space for my knees up at the back of their seat. Headroom is also excellent, with people even taller than me being able to sit straight up. And of course, when you slouch a bit, as most people do, even more space back here. Now, the car is a super mini, but you can get 3 people across the back here, and this middle seat is actually a relatively good width, and there's not too much of a hump in the floor. So 3 people, 3 adults even, should be able to squeeze back here for shorter journeys if that's needed. Of course, the rear seats fold for extra practicality, and doing this nets you 1,075 litres of storage space. And with the false floor in place, you actually have a flat-ish sweep up from the boot floor to the back of these seats. So yes, again, quite a practical touch. There aren't particularly many features to speak of in the back of this Super Mini. You have got a large water bottle holder in the door pockets and a little cubby and USB Type A socket down here. It is a little bit sparse back here, but most Super Minis are. The materials on the whole are okay. They are all plastic, but there's a range of different textures and none of them actually feel cheap. They are plastic, and you can tell they're plastic, but they aren't flimsy plastics. They are still well specified and definitely well assembled. The practicality continues in the front as well, with large water bottle door pockets, as well as twin cup holders here in the centre console. You've got a really good sized glove box that is the full width, no little extra fuse panel hidden in here, like the cars designed for the European market that are then brought over to the UK. You've got a cubby down here with a wireless charger in it, perfect for your smartphone, and you've got sizable grab handles up here where you could put a few extra bits. The cover on the armrest actually slides forwards and backwards, and if you lift it up, there's another decently sized cubby in the centre. Now I'm here in the front, it's probably a good opportunity to talk about the third reason why I think this is the best Super Mini you can buy right now, and that is the equipment. Now, I am in the Ultimate spec today, which has a lot of kit on it, but that's not to say even lower down the model range you are hard done by, because all models come with a digital driver's cluster and an infotainment screen in the centre which has built-in Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Now, lower specification models have an 8-inch screen here, but as you step further up the range, this increases in size to actually one that's larger than the 10.25-inch instrument cluster in front of you. Now, Hyundai have a very sensible approach to spec and trim levels, and that means that you don't actually really get very many optional extras. You simply pick a trim that has what you want on it. So the base of the range is the SE Connect, which starts under £20,000. You can then work your way up through premium, ultimate and N-line trims. N-line being the sportiest one, but really I think if you want sporty you should probably get an i20N. So the ultimate for me would be the one to go for. Hyundai offer 2 different engines for this model, a 1-litre turbocharged petrol with 120 PS, or this, a 1-litre turbocharged petrol with 48-volt mild hybrid system with 100 PS. Now, the gearbox options are a 6-speed manual intelligent transmission, which has an automated clutch to do some clever decoupling for more efficient driving, or for an extra £1,250 at the time of recording, you can get a 7-speed dual clutch automatic. Both of the front seats are heated, and on higher trim models you are able to get a heated steering wheel as well. There are rear parking sensors and a reversing camera, and you have climate controls, not just air conditioning and red and blue. You've actually got the ability to set a temperature in here. The premium model gives you interior grey trim and a Bose sound system, which sounds very good. You've got a small tweeter in the door card up here, and all doors have a larger driver lower down. The Premium nets you keyless entry and go, as well as a push-button start, and heaps of safety tech. You've got lane keep assist, lane guidance, forward collision warning for junctions. That also detects pedestrians and cyclists, not just other vehicles. And you've got cruise control too. So just about the only thing missing is adaptive cruise control, but you still have forward collision warning. The Ultimate trim also comes with blind spot collision warning. As well as this, you get a lot of kit that you would get on lower trim levels, such as auto headlamps with high beam assist and rain sensing wipers, etc, etc, etc. Now, the fourth and final reason why I reckon this is the best Super Mini you can buy is the driving experience. So, let's see what I'm on about when I say that. So, the i20. Why do I reckon the driving experience is the fourth reason why this is the best car in its class? Well, it's brilliant. The chassis that the Hyundai i20 sits on was developed in conjunction with the N division, and you can tell this car handles itself incredibly well. It's a very light car, and that really goes a long way in making it feel like it's a good drive. But also the fact that this is quite low, squat, and just hugs the road means that it's a really engaging drive. The steering is light in eco mode, again light in comfort mode, and weights up beautifully if you put the drive mode into sport. The engine as well, while yes, it's only got 100 PS, but it certainly shifts. The car being so light definitely helps with that, and the 48 volt mild hybrid system adds a little bit of extra oomph as you get moving as well. Now, this car is pretty efficient. Hyundai say that it will do 55 miles to the gallon on a combined cycle, and yeah, real world you're probably not going to see that, but I don't see any reason why you shouldn't be able to achieve mid to high 40s without too much trying. I completed a relatively long motorway journey this last week in this car, and sticking to the 70 mile an hour speed limit wherever I was able to, because there were quite a lot of roadworks. This car was an absolute champion, and I got about 45 miles to the gallon without even trying. You also get a little live readout of your fuel economy, which shows you where the average you've been achieving is and how your instantaneous fuel economy compares to that. The car's efficiency is also helped by the fact that it's got a quite eager stop-start system, which will actually cut the engine if you are decelerating or coasting. As soon as you put your foot back on the throttle though, it will kick back into life, and the pickup from the mild hybrid and 1 litre petrol turbo is actually pretty impressive. Especially when you're on boost, this engine is really eager to keep pulling you forwards. The 7-speed dual-clutch transmission is also a strong point of the driving experience. It's very quick with its changes, and it's also very good at detecting when it needs to change. First gear is changed up out of very quickly, and second through fifth for normal kind of urban driving are all changed through in quick succession. For such a small car with quite a small powertrain, it really does feel nippy. The eager handling and razor-sharp chassis also go a long way to making this feel quite special to drive. The 3-cylinder engine thrums away very readily, and it actually sounds pretty good as well. The dual-clutch box is quick to kick down when you need it to, and it's certainly very good at keeping up with everyday driving. For a dual-clutch transmission as well, the set-off isn't too bad. Now, pairing a dual-clutch transmission with a 3-cylinder engine can sometimes lead to a bit of juddering coming through as you pull away, but generally, this gearbox and engine combination from Hyundai plus the mild hybrid system means that the whole driving experience is actually very smooth. This is certainly a vehicle that you can actually have a lot of fun with on a twisty road, and that's just down to the nature of it being such a taut little chassis and having more than enough power to keep you moving. Even though this car's only got 100 PS, it still feels pretty quick, and that powertrain combined with a brilliant chassis just means that even in relatively mundane situations you can still have a lot of fun when you're driving. Even in eco mode, where the engine isn't necessarily as ready to pull you away, the driving experience is still really good. The shifts are a little bit slower in eco mode in comparison with sport, but you'd expect that anyway. Sport mode is definitely the drive mode where you can have the most fun, because the steering weight's up and the engine is a little bit more eager to go and the shifts are a little bit snappier, but that's not to say that they are slow in either of the other drive modes. The gauge clusters are brilliant. This centre infotainment screen is wonderful, really clear, crisp graphics, and works a dream with Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. And I love the driver's instrument cluster. The powertrain feels very competent. It's certainly very well thought out in terms of the power delivery, and it suits the car so well. I'd be really interested to see what the 6-speed intelligent manual transmission was like, because that's got a robotised clutch that will actually disengage itself and allow you to coast to eke out that little bit more fuel economy. Now, the 7-speed dual clutch box has the option to flick the shifter over to one side and then manually choose your gears. The thing that I am missing there is a set of paddles behind the steering wheel. I think that would really set the driving experience off perfectly with this box. But to be honest, the dual clutch box is so good that I don't particularly see the need to actually try and manually choose the gears. I'm of the firm opinion with this kind of box that you should just let it do its thing, because generally it's very impressive. I mean, I'm doing 40 miles an hour now in 7th gear, dropped down to 6th, absolutely seamlessly. Really snappy changes and an incredibly smooth driving experience. And that's actually something you could say about the whole experience with driving this car. It is very smooth. Now, despite the chassis being very stiff and really good at hugging the road and keeping you planted through corners, it's not too stiffly sprung. And this was a comment that all three of us made when we drove the i20, linked somewhere. The chassis on that felt brilliant, and the suspension was perfectly stiff and brilliantly damped, so it made it a really comfortable drive for a sporty hatchback. And in this, it's obviously not as sporty, but it really does soak up bumps in the road. The cabin is pretty quiet, and of course any car like this you are going to experience a bit more road noise, simply because it's not as hefty and doesn't have as much sound insulation as something at a higher end of the market would. But noise in the cabin is very low down on the list of things that I'm noticing about this driving experience. The main thing is just how good this chassis is. So, with its striking design, practical interior, heaps of tech and fantastic driving experience, I'm sure you can see why I reckon this is the best Super Mini you can buy right now. Overall, the Hyundai i20 is a brilliant package, and I would thoroughly recommend buying one. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support the Buckle Up channel, there are 3 ways you can do it, one of which is our merchandise store, linked in the description, as well as all of our social medias. Second is Patreon. You could become a patron and give us some money monthly on that basis, or you can become a channel member directly here on YouTube, or give us some thanks. I'm counting that as the third option. My name's Jasper, you've been watching Buckle Up, and I will see you next time. Bye.